name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due. We as Muslims refer to this one God as Allah, even though God is known by many names. But regardless to land, language, culture, or religion, there isn't but one God. We say his name is Allah because Allah means the all in all. No matter how many names God may go by, when you sum it all together and put it all together mathematically, the product that you produce is something called the all in all. The beautiful thing about Allah is this: no matter what language you speak, it's pronounced Allah. ¿Cómo está usted? Allah.
Yes, sir.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Allah.
Yes, sir.
Parlez-vous français? Allah.
Yes, sir.
So I come before you this morning from a teacher who had a face-to-face meeting with God. See, in the mouth, okay. All right. Take it to the mud. Take it to the mud.
Yes, sir.
In a face-to-face meeting with God. And the reason why I'm spending this little bit of time on this opening salutation, it is the opening salutation that tunes up the spirit, puts one in the right mind that this introduction is done right.
Come on now.
It sets the tone for everything else we're going to say.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Beautiful, beautiful.
A man from among us, a Georgia-born black man named Elijah Poole,
Yes, sir.
met a man that was prophesied to come from the Christian tradition in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, the 27th verse, as lightning shineth out of the east, even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be.
Yes.
There is no scripture, there is no religion, particularly among the three major ones. No one's looking for a spirit, a spook, a haint, a ghost.
Come on, sir.
Everybody is looking for a man.
That's right. Come on now.
The Muslims refer to him as the Mahdi or the Mahdiah.
Come on.
The Christians are looking for the Christ. The Jews are looking for the Messiah or Masih. And what we have been given is that, in fact, that one has come.
That's right. Come on now.
He came on July 4th, 1930. He came on their Independence Day to declare our independence from them.
Come on now. Teach it.
Right?
Go ahead.
And we say that one is none other than Master Fard Muhammad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He came from the holy city of Mecca. He came by himself. He searched among us, found one worthy among us, in the first instance in the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And from the spiritual DNA of the two of them, they did not leave us comfortless, but they left us with a leader, a teacher, a guide, a brother, and a true friend in the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet my brothers and sisters this morning in our nation greeting of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
It's a much better greeting than hello,
That's come on. That's right.
because as long as we've been in America, we've been in hell. and we've been pretty low. Can I get a hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's much better than saying good morning, because every morning's not a good morning.
Right.
That's right. Come on.
If you're going to use the term good morning, it would be better to say a God morning. Because every day is always has to be God involved, or you wouldn't have another day.
Yes, sir.
Come on now.
It's much better than saying good evening, because every evening ain't a good evening.
That's right.
It's much better than saying hi, because we've always been high in the wrong way. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure Cincinnati, still sitting on the Ohio River, still gets that good ganja. They still come through? They stop? Okay. We'll talk about it after the meeting. It's kosher ganja, right? A rabbi and imam prayed over it and made it allowed.
Right.
Our subject for this morning deals with the subject, the Valley of Decision. This is the third installment of this particular series. The first was in Columbus, Ohio. The second was in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the roulette table, at the Mosque. And I think this will be the final installment here in Cincinnati, Ohio, at Mosque number 5. And the reason why this subject was chosen is because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did a 52-week lecture series that ended up being a 58-week lecture series on a subject that is most critical for us at this time, called the time and what must be done. So under this theme of time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us that we don't have to keep talking about judgment. For all of us that have gone to church, how many in this room came out of the church? How many in this room even been in a church? I figured I'd get everybody on that.
Right.
I came from the church. My father was a Baptist preacher, and he was a good one. He could preach good, real good. And all my life, I heard about judgment. I heard about the return of Christ, the return of the one that would judge the wicked.
Come on now.
Now, these days, you might not hear that kind of preaching in the church, because right now it's about prosperity.
Come on.
You know, getting yours while you can. So I listened to this. I love the church. I participated in the church. But what I could not find in the church was a relevant message that watered my soul. But when I first came into contact with a representative of the Nation of Islam expounding upon the Bible, the Holy Quran, for the first time in my spiritual life, the word began to make sense. I never heard, out of all the preachers I heard growing up, there were many scriptures they could not logically, rationally, relevantly interpret to write down to the modern time. So there was something missing in my spiritual soul. that when I heard the representatives of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, it watered my soul.
Praise him to Allah.
I began to see things totally different. The exegesis of Bible and Quran or scripture by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad put the burden of responsibility of getting my life together on me. It did not make me say what sometimes my Christian family loves to say, I'm going to leave it all on Jesus. He's going to make a way. And so I go to Sunday service and I hear the service and I'm inspired. The tambourine in the background, the drum beat on the side. But then when I leave the church service and go back to work and that racist supervisor, I ain't got no words of wisdom to back him up off of me.
Go ahead, brother. Come on.
My rat roach infested apartment. I cannot take the message of the revelation from the pulpit and find a way to pragmatically apply it in my life. But when I heard the exegesis of the scripture from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it gave me palpable tools that I could use and practically apply in my day-to-day life, and my life has never been the same.
Come on now.
That's right. That's right.
All praise to Allah.
Brothers and sisters, we really should not have any problem with accepting that God visited us. You can go Google this afternoon when you leave here. Out of all of the nations on earth and all of the religions on earth, nobody praises God more often, more consistently than black people. You didn't hear me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Teach on that.
Say it again, brother.
And the reason why that is true is because we were always in harmony with the Creator before our fathers were kidnapped, raped, robbed of the knowledge of self, God, and others, Caucasianized, whitewashed, brainwashed.
Come on.
Come on now. Teach
We don't do no brainwashing here, except that as you bathe to wash your body of the debris of the day, then hearing pure, true, unadulterated truth also washes the minds of the lies that the mind has been permeated with as we go throughout our day-to-day lives throughout the week. That's all this is about. So when you talk about brainwashing, understand what real brainwashing is. If my mind is dirty, and I'm sure you will agree with me, when you turn on the radio, do you hear holy songs? And even now, some of the gospel songs, they got a little snazzy. You can shake your rump, some of the gospel songs now. God probably, yeah, you get out. So you partied on Saturday, Friday, Saturday night, come to the church, band cranks up, and we start partying all over again. So when we come out, we're listening for principles, we're listening for truths that can help us.
That's right.
So this subject, the valley of decision, is followed up by a question, and what will make thee know what the valley of decision is? That comes from a Quranic verse that asks the question of those who would support God's servant in the Word. It's easy to follow the servant of God in the cool of the evening. But what will you do in the heat of the day? It's not talking about necessarily a hot day. It's talking about when opposition comes against your man, when opposition comes against God's servant, what will you do? And the Quran puts it simply like this: and what will make thee know what the uphill road is? Mm-hmm. What is a valley? In order to have a valley, you usually have to have a set of mountain ranges. And what is between them is called the valley. And whenever you have mountain ranges and people in a valley, that's where ambushes occur. That's where people take advantage of you because they think they got you trapped between these mountain ranges. On the one hand, you have the world of, well, let me go on this side. On the left-hand side, you have the world of Satan.
Come on.
His world, his debauchery, his sex-crazed, a mad, crazed society on this side. And on this side, you have God painting a vision of a kingdom that is in the process of being built.
Yes, sir.
And so here we are now. We're in that valley. We've been in that valley for quite some time. In fact, we're going on 85, 86 some years because God made his appearance known, I said earlier, on July 4th, 1930, and declared our independence. And America and the world has never been the same since the introduction of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. You got to go back and deal with context, circumstance, and time. When I was coming up, we were colored. We were Negroes.
Come on.
With a little N. Then we got Negro History Week. Then it became Negro History Month with a capital N. And finally, we got Black History Month. But now I'm being told, and I have experienced this in going to some of the various schools throughout the country, that they're changing Black History Month to Multicultural Month. So now when you go to speak, you may be learning about Czechoslovakians, Serbians. Like, what do I need to know about some Serbians for? I just got put in the curriculum for a 28-day month, and now you're taking me back out again to learn about some other Caucasians of various ethnic strains. So at any rate, this history, if you called somebody black back in my day, you could cuss somebody out, call them out their name, but when you put black on it, oh, it was on. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in order for me to become a member of my nation called Nation of Islam, and let me just clear up some terms. When we ask you about coming, as we will today, because you will make a decision today. I just want to just be clear. Let me just give a demonstration. I am from a sales background. And whenever you present a product that a person invited you into their homes to present, at the end of most sales presentations, the customer on the other end, the favorite line is, I want to think about
Yes, sir.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay? Our response in training is that, what is there to think about?
That's right.
You said you wanted a Bible. You said you wanted the King James Version. All of the books are in here. All of the pages are there. In this case, it's leather-bound, onion leaf pages with the gold trim so the dust don't get in between.
Right.
Come on, now teach you on that.
So now, I'm here. You're here. This is what you said you wanted. What is there to think about? It's called buyer's remorse. You really don't want to be sold. So when we present today, there's nothing to think about. You know why there isn't nothing to think about? Because if I presented all of the evidence that you need to make a decision, if I allow you to leave here without making one, guess what happens after you hear a presentation? The next day, this time, that's how much you will remember of it. Another day, you get the point.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So you want to make your decision today while you're in the valley. At least you try to leave the valley and get ambushed from one of the mountain peaks.
Come on, that's right.
We'll make sure you follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in order for me to come into the Nation of Islam, and when I say Nation of Islam, I'm not talking about trying to make you join a Saudi Arabia. You gotta go no place. I'm not trying to get you to join the Sudan, even though those are your people. The Nation of Islam is just an Arabic term. Arabic is a mathematically precise, evolved language of our forefathers, unlike English, which is an eclectical, bastardized language with a compilation of, it's like a mutt language.
Right.
You own a dog, you don't know what it is.
Right.
That's what English is like.
That's right.
So, this language of Islam only means entire submission to do the will of God. So this morning, for our purposes, I want you to look beyond the label of the word, the sound of the word. I want you to focus on the meaning of the word. Islam means entire submission to do the will of God. Christianity means to be crystallized into oneness with God through following the example of Jesus Christ. So we're not talking about Christianity. We're not talking about Islam by label. We're talking about meaning. Entire submission, oneness with God. Entire submission, oneness with God.
Right.
So we focus on that. Then you ain't got to get angry with us. You're trying to make me go, I was ready.
Come on now.
Just sit that over here right there. Put that on that side of your head. Just part your hair right there. Put that over there.
Come on now.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the original man was the Asiatic black man.
Sir.
The maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the God of the universe, and in the old lessons, the father of civilization.
Come on now.
God of the universe. In the word origin, you have the word origin, the source of all life. There could be no other race of people on the planet, period. Nobody was talking about that in the 30s.
Come on. That's right.
And with this generation of black folks, hey, they ain't talking about it now.
That's right.
Amen.
This government and this nation had put us in a condition. I'm building a case for why we are in a valley.
Come on now. Take your time.
For us to have to make a decision, you got to know why must I make a decision. Let me lay out the case.
sir.
Black people were raped, robbed of the knowledge of self, God, others, robbed actually of our mind.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
And that's why our condition, unlike any other people, there's no condition like ours.
That's right.
The Bible calls us a peculiar people. Other people have suffered. But nobody has ever suffered the kind of slavery that black people in America suffered. Nobody.
That's right.
White folks invented a kind of human bondage and treatment that the world has never seen before, and hopefully will never see again, because God's going to have his way.
Come on now. That's right.
But
Yes, sir.
listen to this. We were raped, we were robbed, we were deprived, we were left here, and we don't even have our own names anymore.
Come on, man.
Right.
Break this down.
Well, what's that got to do with anything, Brother Minister? Okay, well, just hear me out. Hear me out. I ain't going to be long because I'm hot too, so I ain't going to keep you long. I've been to several family reunions. And some of the family members have not come back over the years because their family name was not on the t-shirt. Now bear in mind you got several hundred family members, and here's what you have to understand, brothers and sisters, is that whatever slave master owns you last, that's the name your great-great-grandparents took on. And the last name always shows ownership. You can sign a contract and it puts your initials of your first name, but they make you write the last name out because that ties you and binds you to the contract. So when I was owned by Slave Master Smith, my name was Donell Smith. He sold me to Slave Master Jones, and I became Donell Jones. And then finally, I was sold to the Underdowns. And watch the smile. They take that smile off your face. Yeah, I saw you squinting. I became Donell Underdown, the only slave master's name in the phone book. You can go to New York, California, Underdown down there, they got to be related to me. Isn't that wonderful? So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, since he knew we were robbed, he said to us, since we are the original people, you may not know what your tribal holy name is. You may not know what divine attribute of Allah you have in store for you. Kareem, generous, noble, honorable. Muhammad, one worthy of praise, one praise much. Shamsuddin, the light of the faith. Ali, the most high. You may not know what your holy name or tribal name is, but we know for a fact it ain't Culpeper, Brown, McGillicuddy,
That's
Fox,
right.
Tree, Stone, Brick.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
Grandma's house we go.
Yes.
So we wore the X. And if you take a black person and put them in the right environment, just like a plant, just like a seed, if you put a black person in the right environment, they will come back to their nature and begin to display
That's right.
their natural divine
That's true.
gifts. And that's why the nation of Islam is so valuable.
Come on now.
Because some of you knew us.
Come on now.
Your cousin was a Muslim. Your father, your mother, your uncle, your nephew, your best friend you went to school with. Well, you know what kind of Negroes we were. We would cut you yesterday or just shoot you today.
Right.
Now, don't mistake this loving kindness for weakness, though.
Come on.
We'll still cut you. Just not with a blade. Not with the carnal weapons of the world.
Oh, right. That's right.
But I don't know what my name is, so Muhammad gave us an X.
That's right. That's
And then by being in this environment, I became a more productive human being. I put down the reefer, I put down the crack, I put down the alcohol, the 40.
big.
And I was no longer referring to my women as H's and B's.
That's right.
See? But it was sister and brother, because if I truly understand the scientific effect of calling my brother worked, and our people's fear and sick love of white people because they made everything white and light.
Come on now.
All right. And everything black and dark was evil.
That's
How
right.
can I prove this? Didn't they be still in the school? The primary readers that taught you sentence structure, whatnot, went like this. Dick and Jane see Spot run.
Yes, sir.
Spot chased the red ball.
Yes.
The noun in this is Dick and Jane.
Yes.
The adverb or the adjective Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and all the king's men and all the king's horses couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. They couldn't even find a brown egg.
Come on now.
My father's preaching, and I'm enjoying him.
Come on now.
But right behind him is a blonde-haired,
Come on.
sometimes blue-eyed dude.
Yes.
Other times a brown-haired, brown-eyed dude.
Yes.
But always, you go to the Christian Armory, all of the Bible stories, everybody's white. The Last Supper looks so beautiful with the halo over the white Jesus. But the cooks weren't even black unless they was back in the kitchen, out of sight. They were the house Negroes, so they had to stay in the house even at the Last Supper.
Yes.
And so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that if you open up your Bible, instead of just listening to people, right in Revelations, he describes it.
Yes, sir. Go
They
ahead,
say
guys.
he had hair
Go ahead.
like lamb's wool. Yeah, I had some hair.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He had hair.
Go ahead, guy.
I had what was called a crew cut, or a cruel cut, depending on what cut you got.
Come on now.
And that's why the fade is popular today. The Nation of Islam made it popular. So when you talk about culture giving,
Yes, sir.
you can wear your kente cloth on Kwanzaa if you want to, but you didn't originate the kente cloth. That came from the kente clan.
Yes, that's right.
Culture means what comes up out of you, that's cultivated out of you, that you contribute to the society.
That's right.
The Nation of Islam is responsible for what is called the fade today. In my day, if you wore a crew cut or a cruel cut, they would smack you on the back of your head and run off and throw you ball with.
That's right.
They would snatch the headpiece off the sister, and that would give us a chance to practice our martial arts skills.
That's right.
We're going to look forward to that
That's
right
right.
there.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Go ahead now.
It was the Nation of Islam that came out with the well-dressed man.
Yeah. Huh?
Come on.
Yes, sir.
We ain't saying that. No matter how cheap the suit is, you throw a bow tie on it,
Right.
and it gets that formal look.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
It was the Nation of Islam
Yeah.
that introduced the bean pie.
That's
Bean
right.
pie was unheard of. Some say it tastes like sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie. I say it's got its own unique taste.
That's right.
The Nation of Islam brought bean soup on the planet. The
Wow.
navy bean
Yes.
that protects you from radiation
Come
and
on.
heals you.
Right.
Come on,
The
man.
Nation of Islam did that.
Right.
The Nation of Islam came out with the, I know you're on post, brother. Let's break bread. Brother, Marcus, turn your head or something. I won't tell on you, brother. When you hug your brother and sister, don't you know what that stimulates? If you hug a brother,
Come on,
you
now.
go left
Come
and
on.
right as opposed
Yes,
to
sir.
right and left because the heart is right here.
That's
Right.
One
It's
life.
stimulating. Touch stimulates the what's the layer of system on this right under the skin? No, the lymphatic system. It stimulates that.
Come on.
It causes the blood to flow from the heart when you feel genuine love. Have you ever walked in a room and got a vibe?
Yes, sir.
And you say, well, I'm not doing that. I ain't working that vibe, don't sound right.
Yes, sir.
So if you start showing genuine love for your brother and sister, you'll get another whole kind of response. Let's get to our subject. I know. We're just trying to lay out the case. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a hard job. He had the hardest job of any man ever in the annals of the universe. You say, well, come on. Anybody can just say that. Okay, let's prove why he had this hardest job. Here's what the scholars of religion said about black people in America. Here's what they say. The Bible describes our condition as irredeemable. That means there is no price you could spend. I don't care how many billions of dollars they were saying you could come up with. You can never revive black people. They're irredeemable, irreconcilable, irretrievable, beyond hope.
Come on, man.
That's what they said.
They didn't stop there though. They said it would be easier for you, brother, to go to the physical cemetery, dig up your aunt, your grandmother, your uncle, your brother, your sister, take the skeletal remains, put some flesh back on them, get some life support equipment, and try to bring that life back than to try to get black people to remember who they were.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Come on now. Now you teaching.
You call a brother and sister your brother? Oh, nigga, I ain't your brother. My brother live in Georgia, nigga.
Right.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a hard job
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
trying to get black people to government of America told Mr. Muhammad that it would be easier to put pants on an elephant than to try to get Negroes back to themselves.
That's right.
And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad responded with the authority that he had from Allah. I got one pants leg on already.
Come on. Right?
A valley is a low area surrounded by mountains. In the spiritual sense of the word, whenever we get down, whenever we feel low, we sometimes make critical decisions when we're at our lowest place in life.
Yes, sir.
I've been strung out on crack for several years, and finally now I'm at rock bottom. My life is threatened. I've lost my family. My children don't even speak to me no more. And now in this low place, I finally make it up in my mind, because no amount of rehabilitation will save me until the person that's in this low place makes it up in their mind.
Come on.
Come on now.
You can't help anybody that don't want to help themselves.
That's right. That's right.
And while I'm in this low place, this place of insecurity and vulnerability, when we look all around us, we feel surrounded by heights that we believe we cannot climb, and thus this is where God comes into play to intervene in our affairs, to help us make the right decision. What is a decision? The word decision is defined by the act of making up your mind about something.
Come on now.
The burden of decision was his. It is a conclusion, determination, a choice, an option, a pick, a selection, an appointment, an assignment, a call, casting lots, designation, drawing lots, move, naming, resolution, sortition, a position, opinion, or judgment reached after consideration, a decision unfavorable to the opposition. The outcome of a game or a contest, the team dropped 3 decisions in a row. Final result, outcome, result, termination. The trait of resoluteness as evidenced by firmness of character or purpose, a man of unusual decision.
Go ahead now. Teach.
One of our scholars in the NOI research department, as we get into the heart of this conversation, talks about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the man who has led the way for the past 40 years as it relates to faithful service on behalf of black people, not only in America, but this man has traveled the length and breadth of every inhabited nation just about on this earth. He's done at least 3 world friendship tours.
That's right. That's right.
Listen to this. Minister Farrakhan has warned the United States of America, which is the centerpiece of these mountain ranges that we were talking about. America is the head of the circle. America is, in fact, the beast that is talked about in the book of Revelation. Make no mistake about it. There is no dragon. There is no literal reptile.
Come on.
That's right.
Come on.
That's
now.
going to come back in Islam. There is no Dajjal, no one-eyed creature.
Come on now.
America is that one-eyed creature. If you want me to prove it,
Come on.
reach in your pocket if you got one. The one eye is right there
Yes,
Come
sir.
on. Come on now.
on her currency.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
America is talking about one world government, but because you have not heard her say we are now one world government, you think that it ain't happening.
Come on now.
America runs the world.
That's
She's losing
right.
power, but make no mistake about it, America runs the world in concert with her European brothers.
Yes, sir.
They bring Africa, the Caribbean, take their natural resources and sells it back to them and won't allow them to buy equipment to cultivate their own land. What kind of foolishness is that? Come on.
Right.
Come on now. Break it down.
Mr. Farrakhan warned that the United States of America is at the crossroads. And we too are at the crossroads. The Muslim world is at the crossroad. What is a crossroad? It is a crucial point, especially where a decision must be made.
Yes, sir.
How many in here have had to make a critical decision in their life already? It might be a husband and a wife scenario, right?
Watch out.
Can't get no more serious than that, right?
Watch out.
Right.
That's right.
Oh, baby, this ain't working out. Have mercy, somebody. Can I get a witness? It may be a crossroad with a family member. I just can't keep on loaning you money, partner. Wow.
Come on.
I bailed you out on your rent last month.
Come
Right.
Here we are again, you 2 months back again. If I just get one more time. Well, if the mortgage payment was too high, back here when they were selling these toxic mortgages,
Right.
you couldn't wait, be patient, put your money away to get a real house under a real mortgage.
Right.
You got a mortgage on your house, a $500,000 home. Your payments start off at $1,500, $1,800, $2,500, and after about 5 years, it balloons into $10,000 a month.
Watch out.
You were working on a job making $10 an hour,
Watch out.
and then wondering why you couldn't keep up the electric, the gas, the water. You got candles going on in the house. You have a seance every night in your house. No furniture. McDonald's, Wendy's, every night. So we have to come to the conclusion. It don't mean you don't love the person. If I tell you I'm not going to help you on this one, that doesn't mean I don't love you. And you can't let people play you about what love is. Let me tell you what love ain't. That's right, that's a southern drawl. Ain't. Here's what love ain't. Love is not a romantic notion. Love is not looking into your eyes until I see stars and the universe. Kissing your lips does not make them taste like honey. This is cartilage. Fact. Now, if you put on some cherry chapstick, I might taste some cherry. But outside of that, your lips are not honey. And as far as making love all night long, that's a myth too.
Watch out.
So let's just bust up the fantasies so we ain't got to run around trying to find nobody else.
That's right.
The Creator created the male and the female
Listen.
with reproductive organs.
Yes, sir.
And out of his mercy, when we engage in this reproductive act, pleasure is also derived. This world has taken the purpose out and put accent only on the pleasure moment.
Come on.
That's right.
Teach.
And got you believing that if I try a whole bunch of different people, I'm going to get a different result. Well, I got news for you, brother. All of it. That's the same thing. You ain't got to get different things, just the same one. It might be on a short body, a tall body, but the end result is the same. Enough on that class.
Yes, sir.
That's all I need.
Yes, sir. Good
Make
teach.
your decision to stay with the one Allah blessed you with.
Yes, sir.
The black woman you with right now, the black man you with right now. He can be whatever you want him to be. You just gotta mind it out.
Come on.
You gotta have the patience of Job. But I promise you, if you stick with it, God will bless you.
That's right.
Look at the use of the word must. That which is a must is that which indicates that we are compelled to do something because of a rule or a law. It is something that is essential, important, obligatory, and necessary. It is made a must by him whose wisdom and power is infinite. This is Minister Farrakhan's words based on our research department of covering him and his presentation on this subject today in dealing with us being right now, at this time, at this moment, in a valley of decision. Minister Farrakhan has clearly stated why we all must make a decision with respect to what he has presented. We really have no choice but to make it. He clearly identified the right decision. He urged all to choose it. He based all that he presented on irrefutable proofs from the all-wise one, which he learned from his teacher.
Yes, sir.
Here's an example of this decision. Then we will get into the scriptures, and then we'll wrap this up and go home.
Come on with it, black
If
man.
time permits, I may allow for a few questions, but let's just get through the subject matter first.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Suppose you're standing on a railroad track.
Think about it.
A train is coming at you 100 miles per hour. Decision time. Get off and live, even if you get bruised. Get partly off. Procrastinate and become hideously mangled and then die in agony. Stand there and become obliterated, wiped out beyond recognition. Our life in America has not been good. If you're any kind of age, over 20, over 30, over 40, go back to your own family reunions. Our people are in bad shape, health-wise, education-wise. People getting degrees today, and guess what? I got some PhD friends that's got to work at McDonald's and Wendy's. And what I want to say to all black people in this room, if you're going to go to school and get an education, the first education you want to get is the knowledge of yourself, God, and the enemy of God. And yourself.
That's right.
Then you get a degree,
Listen,
you
listen.
will use it properly.
That's right.
The problem with our people is that we get the decree from them, and a part of all white supremacist education is the poisonous ass of arrogance. Can I prove this? Okay. I'm Brother Donell Muhammad. Hold on a minute.
Come on now.
Hi. I'm Jock in the family.
Whoa.
And you people would be well to listen to what I'm saying, so that by hopefully God's grace, you can one day be with I. Did I pull off pretty good?
Come on now. There it is.
Pompous jackass.
Come on.
So we get these degrees, but what I'm going to advise today is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has advised all over this country. Get degrees in something we can use that will benefit the black community.
That's right.
The scriptures talk about the wasted cities. Somebody has to rebuild them. Everybody ain't got to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, or an educator. Somebody has to be an engineer. Somebody has to be a contractor. Somebody has to be a builder because a doctor got to live somewhere. Somebody got to be a farmer. And if industry is moving out of our community by white flight, then that opens up the door for us to come right in and bring industry back to the black community again, but you got to get skilled and be able to do it and not get your engineering skills back to white America again. And the only institution teaching the knowledge of self, the God of our forefathers, and the enemy of God, I respectfully suggest is none other than the Nation of Islam and Muhammad's mosque throughout the United States and abroad. His clear description of the coming terrible chastisement is vividly but oft-times symbolically described in the scripture. This reminds me of words I heard from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said that we will be divinely whipped for everything for which we have not been forgiven. Let's take advantage of Minister Farrakhan's study guides, his teachings on the power of atonement and forgiveness, and all he has taught us on these subjects with what time is left. I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad speak on what those who rejected him and his teachings will say when the chastisement strikes them. With intense and extreme regret, they will say, that man was telling us the truth. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also knew that these words would also include the rejectors of Minister Farrakhan. These rejectors will say of Minister Farrakhan, when enveloped in the excruciating, painful fire of God's anger, the same words others will say with both men in mind. That man or those men were telling us the truth.
That's right.
Mr. Farrakhan has gone to the extreme in getting the truth over to us and to America. He has gone to the very limit of God's patience with us and with this world. He has worked like he has non-stop, night and day, 24/7 out of his extraordinary capacity for love, his perspective, grasp of his teacher's teaching, his keen understanding of these times, his special relation to Allah, to his teacher, to us, his people, and to America, as well as to the world, due to the special weight of responsibility placed on him by reason of the seat of his teacher in which he was placed. Now let's get to these scriptures. And let's close this out because I'm getting hot too.
It's your lead, sir.
The heat will make you make up your mind quick.
Yes, sir.
That means hellfire real close. Okay, here we go. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you put a little liquor in there too, son. When when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had been taught by Master Farad Muhammad for about 3.5 years, the Master told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, "You don't need me anymore." And the messenger began to say to him, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do." As the
That's right.
we just don't believe he's Michelangelo's cousin.
That's right.
Teach on
For
that.
those who want to come back with, well, God only, the color don't make no difference, and blah, blah, blah. And that's true. It shouldn't make a difference. And most certainly it didn't make a difference to us.
Right.
Because before the coming of Master Farad Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because all of our teachers were white people.
Come on now.
They taught us about everything, including God.
Right.
So if color don't make a difference, it obviously made a difference to them.
Yes, sir.
Because they had to lie about it.
That's right.
That's right.
Come on.
Well, okay, Brother Donell, well, he's olive colored. Okay? It's okay. Well, let's see. Let's go with that argument. There are but 3 kind of olives.
Come on now. Teach on that.
Watch out. Come on.
You have a green olive, but there are no green people.
That's right.
That's right.
You have a purple olive.
Yes, sir.
Come on
Watch
now.
out.
Then you might have a blue, black, dark skin.
Yep.
Come on now.
Like Sister Rosemary back there, where all of us came from.
Come on
That's
now.
right.
Teach on that.
People like myself. Oh, that's a Starbucks reference. You didn't get that one? And then you have a black olive.
Come on
Yes,
now.
sir.
So since there are no green people,
Come on now.
no purple people, so if he's olive colored, he would have to be a black.
Come on
Good
now.
teachers, black man.
Olive olive.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
My final scripture, we're done. We'll do some Q&A for a few minutes, take a few questions, and then we'll get out of here. This comes out of the Holy Quran, the book of scripture of the Muslims, Surah or chapter 90, verses 10 through 20. And I want you to really think on this as we wrap this up. 10 starts off, and he pointed out to him the 2 conspicuous ways. If something is conspicuous, that means it's obvious. You ain't no doubt about that's there. That's in the middle of the floor right there. But he would not attempt. This goes directly to the follow-up question, and what will make me know what the valley of decision is. But he would not attempt the uphill road. And what will make you comprehend what the uphill road is? It is the setting free of a slave.
Come on now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you say you're not a slave. Okay. Let's talk about why we are slaves.
Come on.
The physical chains are no longer on our hands, our ankles, or around our necks, but they are securely on our minds.
Teach,
right.
teach.
We don't have independent education. We go to the public system where menticide is practiced on a regular basis.
Yes, sir.
Harriet Tubman said it like this: I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed thousands more if they only knew they said. You got your own kind standing in front of you. We praise God more than anybody else, but yet we can't believe that God would come to us looking like us.
Come on now.
Because God ain't got no time for niggas or Negroes or coons and shines.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what God got time for, because his people were messed up. The word Negro or the actual manifest object called Negro didn't exist prior to 500 years ago. That's the invention of the white man. A Negro is a term.
That's right.
Specifically labeled on us. It's the study of the dead.
That's right.
Necromancy.
Yes,
and
sir.
we are dead from the neck up.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So Muhammad came to bust up this hold on our mental, brain power, talents, and skills. Muhammad came for the sole purpose of breaking that up. And what will make you comprehend what the uphill road is the setting free of a slave or giving of food in a day of hunger. What's wrong with us helping our people in the community with food if we got it? There's no such thing really as a free lunch. Even if you go to the soup kitchen and get some free food, somebody had to pay for the food
That's
to
right.
donate it.
Yes, sir. That's right.
That's right.
So it's okay to do that. To an orphan having relationships, there's nothing wrong with having blended families and taking on the responsibility of the other children already in that family as your own.
That's right.
I say this often, I guess I can say it again, she get a plug out on the Facebook page. But Sister Captain Debbie, in my Islamic experience, is one of the finest examples in terms of treating the children from another relationship. In her marital relationships, you would think those children, she carried each of them for 9 months. She'd have a whole lot of them if she did that, in fact, but she treats them like they're her own. That's how we don't talk stepchildren. That ain't in our vocabulary.
Right.
Sir.
Anybody can donate some sperm.
Come on.
But father means to further, to nurture, to grow that child. Nothing wrong with taking on the children, the orphan, as your own. Or the poor man lying in the dust, then he is of those who believe and charge one another to show patience and charge one another to show compassion. These are the people of the right hand. And for those who disbelieve in our communications, they are the people of the left hand. On them is fire closed over. And there's some other scriptures that I won't read today, but go to Joel chapter 3, verses 1 through 17. That's starting to move from the spiritual to the actual physical manifestation of what this world is heading to by virtue of the leadership of Donald Trump. They will in fact be taken into that valley of Jehoshaphat to fulfill that war that will end all wars, called Armageddon, which is a code word according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which means armies gathered together for the doom. With that said, I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for coming out. And if there are any questions from the audience, we will take them at this time, and then we will dismiss. Are there any questions about anything we shared today? And anybody has any questions or concerns about before you make this most critical decision in your life? You haven't locked the door, prepared lock on it. Turn out the lights, bring the Louisville Sluggers up here on the roster. Any questions? Great. Yes, ma'am, it's the Lord.
I'd like to know who was the first minister that you heard speak in the Nation of Islam, and how old were you?
Sure. My journey to Islam started when I was probably about 14 years old. A friend of mine and I went to the mosque that was located at that time, and I still remember the address as if it were yesterday. Walked by, the doors of the mosque were wide open. Muhammad's Mosque and the National were present. A brother was standing up on his post, as sharp as that brother in that bow tie right there with the bald head. Go ahead, brother, you know you're sharp. Like so, and I could hear, because they had a petition, the door was open, but there was a big petition across it so you couldn't see right into the auditorium, but I could hear this brother preaching on the inside. And when I went inside, I said, well, brother, listen, they talk black here out here. Let's go in and check this out. We go inside and sit down, and this brother started talking about the Frankenstein monster and how black people are a compilation of the philosophies and mixed philosophies and misteachings of this world, and we walk around Negroes, we believe in anything and everything. Then he went on from there and began to talk about Santa Claus and how can this big 300-pound white man go down every chimney in the world in less than 12 hours. And some of you live in the project, ain't even got a chimney. He was just dropping it. And he had a bald head. I had hair though, he had a bald head. And at the end, the trademark question, how many of you believe what you heard today was the truth and good for us as a people? And my friend, he stood up to, if you believe what you heard was the truth and good for us as a people, how many of you would like to join on to your own kind? Again, I accept it. And so did my friend. We got back on the bus that night, home, and like all typical Negro, even though I accepted, another 6 months went by, I ain't been back. But I remember what I heard. And then her husband, Sister Debbie's husband, Brother Kevin, went to school with my now brother-in-law named Jerome, who's my wife's brother. And he and his brother were going up to Mansfield to hear the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under Minister John Muhammad, who was the messenger's brother, blood brother. And his son, the Al Muhammad nephew, became our minister in Columbus, and we went to Mansfield hospital for about 6 months. And Minister John Muhammad, this brother was literally the master of the Bible story. When he told a Bible story, you were actually in the story with him. He was doing auditing way back then before you returned. And so we were, of course, mandated that we had to go to the mosque where you live. So we began to come here in Columbus. But that was my first introduction, Santa Claus and Frankenstein. And I was, of course, a horror monster picture watcher. I loved my Christmases. And so when you busted all that up, I was like, hallelujah. I got the Holy Ghost right there that night in the mosque. Y'all didn't know that. See, you get the Holy Ghost in the mosque. That's right.
That's
I got it that night.
right.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Well, thank you, sir.
2 questions.
Sure.
First one is from the story you just told. Did you get your bullets back? You test back on that after the service. But the second was really just what was that piece on Joel that you said study?
Joel chapter 3, verses 1 through 17. Anyone else?
I really want to know, did you get your bullets back?
We don't remember. I'm sure they getting better. They might have thrown away. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
They didn't go to the mall, I can tell you that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum.
Well, thank you, sir.
Are we able to go on Facebook and review and look at your?
Yeah, all of our postings, we have a Muhammad Muslim of 43 Facebook live page and a Muhammad Muslim of 43 YouTube page. And we're posting all lectures there. To answer your question, yes, ma'am. You can go look at it. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. It's okay. That means I've answered all your questions. You can make your decision now. And anyone that wants to